Welcome to Rewild Your Business. I'm your host, Gill. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. You know, there are some episodes of this podcast that I sit down to record and I get kind of excited about it because I know that I am about to answer something that so many people have in their minds. And this is one of those episodes. So this is one of those episodes where I really suggest you maybe sit at your desk for this one rather than listening in the car. Maybe get a pen and paper because I think this one is going to be something you're going to come back to. It's something that's incredibly fundamental for all business owners, and that is how to know where to put your energy in your business at any given time if your business feels like it's stalled. So in other words, if your business isn't operating, isn't growing, isn't working the way you want it to work, how do you know what to fix first? How do you know where to put your precious time and energy to make the most difference and do it in the right order? Because that is so critical. If you don't know what's not working, then the temptation is to keep tweaking and changing lots of different things all at the same time. And that is not the most effective way to audit and make a decision around the best, most effective way to fix what's not working. So I am excited to record this one. I think it's going to be incredibly useful for you. So let's dive into the episode. Welcome to Rewild Your Business, the podcast for women doing the work their soul intended. I'm Gill. I'm an international business coach and I'm a guide for women doing the work that matters. Rewilding your business means cutting away what doesn't belong to allow what does to thrive, finding simplicity in your work. And it's about bringing the whole of who you are to the table, whether you're building something new or finding your way back to what really matters to you. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so what I see a lot is women getting very frustrated because they are working hard, genuinely working really hard, and they're doing all the things they've been told to do. So they're showing up on social media, they're refining their messaging, tweaking their websites, maybe even paying for some ads or setting up a new funnel. And yet the growth that they want to see in their business just isn't coming for them. The numbers aren't moving and the right clients aren't coming. And for the kind of women I work with, the most cripplingly disappointing thing of that is that they are not getting to have the impact that they so want to be having in the world. And that can be incredibly exhausting, incredibly disappointing, and a bit overwhelming when the truth of it is that you don't know what you're missing. You don't really understand what is you're doing wrong that is resulting in you not having the results that you want in your business. So I'm going to share with you a framework that I believe will completely change the way you look at the growth of your business. And I call this framework the natural order of things. It does what it says on the tin, right? So I do think this is one of those things that once you hear it, you're not going to look at your business the same again because you're going to have so much clarity around the order to do things in. Okay, so most business advice that you are going to hear on podcasts, on social media, anywhere really, treats the growth of your business like it's a flat problem. And by that, I mean it treats it as though everything is equally important and you just have to do everything better all at once. But the truth is that growth, when it comes to your business, isn't flat. It is sequential. This is really important to understand. It's layered. And there is a specific order in which things need to be working. And that means there's a specific order in which to fix them when they're not. this should feel like a relief. This should feel like, oh my goodness, okay, so there's a bit of a formula for looking at what's not working. Because here's the thing, when you try and fix a layer that actually isn't broken, because it's really something that's sitting underneath it, or you try and skip over a foundational layer to get to something that feels a bit more sexy, a bit more exciting, then you're wasting so much energy and you're getting diminishing returns. So you're going to feel like you're pedaling really fast in first gear and not really getting anywhere. So the natural order of things, as I describe it, is effectively a diagnostic tool. It's a way of auditing your business. And this isn't going to sound much like me. I don't normally talk in this kind of corporate-y speak. I don't usually use words like audit and that kind of thing. But honestly, that's what this is. It is a process, and it is a logical do this thing next process. And I think it's going to be a real relief for you to have this in your toolbox. And it's a way of auditing your business from the inside out. So we start at the deepest, most foundational layer, and then we keep moving outward. And we don't touch the next layer until the current one is genuinely on solid ground. There's 7 layers that we're going to talk about, and the order is not up to you because each one rests on the one before it. So that means that if a lower layer is shaky, everything built on top of that is going to feel unstable, or it simply won't work the way it should be working. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through what the 7 layers are, but we're not going to go super deep into each of them, because what I've decided to do is kind of make this into an 8-part series. So this is part 1, which is going over the core idea and really naming what these 7 layers are. And then after this week, we're going to go week by week through each of these layers and break down in a bit more depth how you audit, how you actually get to the core problem, how you decide if there is something off in that layer and what to do about it. Okay, so this is an exciting start to this series. I think this is going to be a real useful one, really tangibly useful for you. So I'm excited to bring this to you. So layer 1, this is when something's not working, this is where we go first to look at. And that is your vision and mindset. So you are never again going to say, my business isn't working, let's look at the marketing. Because that isn't in this most foundational layer. If something is not working, you are going to go here first. The vision and the mindset. This isn't soft stuff. This isn't nice to have stuff. This is the genuine infrastructure of your business, because everything else you build sits on this. Your vision. So being able to answer the question with complete clarity, where are you going? And do you genuinely believe you can get there? And you've got to have the real answer for those. The answer that lives in your body, not just in your head. And the mindset piece underneath that is, what do you believe is possible for you specifically? Not for women in general, not for your clients. What do you genuinely believe is possible for you? When this foundational layer of vision and mindset is off kilter, this is what you might notice. You're going to feel busy, but you're going to feel a bit directionless. So you're kind of doing all the stuff, but you're a little bit fuzzy as to why you're doing it or where it's taking you towards. It can show up as building things in your business that don't quite connect together, offers that don't really relate to each other, marketing that doesn't really feel good to you. And this is often not because you lack the skill to do those things, but it's because there's no cohesive thread that's running through your work. When this foundational layer is flaky, you're going to find yourself second guessing your decisions constantly. or feel like you're chasing, someone else's version of success. And you're not really clear on what your version would look like. So, of course, you're going to chase someone else's version, but even that's not going to feel right for you. Something that really shows up when this first foundational layer isn't secure is that you will find you keep hitting a ceiling. So that could be a revenue level. It could be that you're constantly attracting the same kind of clients, that feeling of like almost but not quite. And it won't matter what tactics you try, because that ceiling is almost always a vision or a mindset issue. It's very rarely a marketing issue. It's very rarely a wrong sales script. It's very rarely anything like that. Ceilings are almost always internal. So before you ever move on to layer 2, you need to be able to answer, do I have a vision for this business that genuinely excites and compels me? Am I clear on what that is? Can I see it, feel it, almost taste it? And do I fundamentally believe that I am capable of building it? And if the answer to either of those is uncertain, that's where your work starts. If your answer to those things is absolutely, I am crystal clear on all of that, brilliant. We move to the next layer and we audit that and we decide if that one is where the work starts. So the second layer, and don't forget, we're going to go through each of these layers in detail over the course of this series, this little mini series, podcast within a podcast. Second layer is your brand. So once your vision and mindset are solid, that's when, and only then, do we move on to your brand. And I want to be really specific about what I mean by brand, because it isn't your logo, it's not your color palette, it's not your Instagram grid. Those are expressions of your brand for sure. Absolutely, they're important. But your brand itself is something that's way more foundational. Your brand is the answer to who are you? What do you stand for? Who is your work for? And what is the distinct way that you see the world? So your brand is your point of view. It's your voice. It's your values brought to life in your business. It's that felt sense that someone has of you before they ever even read a word of your copy. So when your brand is unclear or is underdeveloped, this is how this one shows up. You're putting out messaging that is muddled. You feel it. You'll probably feel it yourself. You will know when your messaging is not a true reflection of your brand. And it tends to result in you attracting people who aren't quite right. And you can't always put your finger on exactly why, but you know that they're just not the people that you intended to serve in your business. When your brand is shaky, you're going to feel like you have to explain yourself a lot. You're always having to explain what you do. And that is a real surefire sign that your brand is not mature enough. It's underdeveloped. Sometimes it can feel a bit like you're playing dress up. You're putting on a costume in your own business and it doesn't really feel like you. It's almost like you're wearing someone else's brand. And this is a really good example, actually, of why this natural order of things is so important. Because take brand and marketing. They're not next to each other in this order. But let's say you're trying to fix your marketing before you've got clear on your brand, then all that's going to happen is the better you get at your marketing, the better you're getting at spreading confusion. So you're going to be putting out content that's brilliant and you're getting more reach and more engagement, but it's more of the wrong message landing with the wrong people. So can you see how this order of things is so important? Your brand clarity is what makes everything that's downstream from that, so your offers, your content, your sales conversations, it's what makes all of those things feel aligned, feel like you, feel much more effortless. Nothing's ever effortless in business. I should never use that word, really. Or maybe the right way to say it is that it feels so much easier. That's a better way to say it. Never effortless. So before we talk about layer 3, The things you're going to be thinking and asking yourself when we go deeper into brand is, can I articulate with real confidence and specificity who I am, what I believe, and who my work is for? Can I do that? Does my brand communicate those things with complete clarity? Okay? If you can answer yes to all of those things in that layer, then and only then do we move on to the next layer. So if you're thinking, yeah, my vision, my mindset are spot on, my brand, I know that I'm really good at that part. I really know who my ideal clients are, and I'm very good at articulating. I'm really good at creating messaging that lands with those clients. If you're answering yes to those things, brilliant. You've audited those two first layers. So then we move on to layer 3. Is it layer 3 that's the problem? And layer 3 is your offers. The thing to clarify here is just a little reminder, and I'm sure this is, me teaching you the obvious. So your offer is not just a product or a service. Your offer is a transformation, a clearly defined journey from where your client is now to where they want to be. And then you package that in a way that makes sense for them. You price it in a way that reflects its value, and you structure it in a way that actually works for them. That's your offer. It's all of those things. It's not just the product or the service, okay? Now, when your offer isn't right, again, nothing downstream of that is going to fix it. If you've got the wrong offer, no amount of brilliant marketing or sales are going to make a difference. You can have the best marketing strategy ever. You can have beautiful content, brilliant sales process, and you're still going to hear, not right now, because the thing you're selling is not landing in the way it needs to. It's not the right offer. I think probably the most common offer problems that I see are trying to serve too many different kinds of clients, not being clear about what someone actually gets or experiences. Wonky pricing, that's a big one. If you price your offer in a way that creates doubt, and that can be if it's too expensive or if it's too cheap, or if you create an offer that is solving a problem that your ideal clients don't recognize as their problem. And that one is actually, it's subtle, but it's really important. Sometimes our offers that we create are bloody brilliant, but they're solving the problem that we know our clients have rather than the problem that they have. And people will only invest in solutions to the problems that they know they have. So before we go on to layer 4, you've got to be completely confident that your core offer is genuinely brilliant, clearly articulated, priced right, and it's solving a problem that your ideal clients already know they have. There's your audit job. Can you say yes to all of those things? Right? If yes, then we go on to the next layer. And layer 4 is thought leadership. And I think this is often a surprise to people because they tend to think marketing content rather than thought leadership. And I just want to make clear why I consider the next natural order of things layer is thought leadership. It's because your thought leadership is your contribution. It's like the body of ideas, frameworks, perspectives, opinions, ways of seeing the world that make you the person that people think of for the work you do. It's what you're known for thinking. It's not just what you do. And this is incredibly important when it comes to marketing. So again, marketing and sales are downstream of this. So if you haven't got very clear on what your thought leadership is, your thought leadership being the very thing that gives your marketing substance, it's the thing that makes sales conversations genuinely feel like invitations rather than like you're pitching at someone. Without that, your content can just feel like noise. And with the rise of AI, there's so much noise out there. There's so much noise. Whereas if you hone your thought leadership, get very clear on the things you talk about, the things that you have opinions on, your unique take on your corner of the world, your niche, your industry, whatever it is, that will allow your content to position you. So if you think about the people that you follow closely, think about the ones whose emails you always open. I'm hoping that I might even be in that category for you. Think about the people whose work genuinely influences you, right? They are not just sharing tips. They're sharing their worldview. They're sharing about their opinion on things. So for me, you might think about relationships over algorithms. I talk about that all the time. I talk about making a stand for the and all the time. I talk about not playing small. There's lots of things that I have strong opinions about. That is what I consider to be my thought leadership areas. So I want you to think about, what is that for you? And you do need this, even if it's in like a rough, I'm just developing it kind of form. You've got to have this before your marketing can do its job properly. So layer 4, thought leadership, before you move on to layer 5, you need to be asking yourself, do I have a clear and distinctive point of view? Am I building a body of thinking that is recognizably mine? Am I working towards becoming a recognized authority in my thing, my area? Again, if the answer to that is yes, but we've still got a problem, then and only then do we move on to layer 5, which is your marketing. Notice how far down the list this is, and yet so many people start here. If their business isn't growing, they just go straight to tweaking their marketing strategy, trying new things, and latest shiny object or trend. And yet, for me, this is the 5th layer. There are 4 other chunks of work to be checking and auditing before you even get to this. And that's not because marketing isn't important. Marketing is really important. But marketing's job is to amplify what already exists. And if what already exists, your vision, your brand, your offer, your ideas, if all of that isn't solid, then more marketing is just more noise. It's not effective. It's not doing what you want it to do. Now, your marketing is how the right people are going to find you. It is the as consistent as you can, visible expression of your thought leadership, your brand, your offer, through whatever channels make sense for you and your audience. So it's not about being everywhere. It's not about, being a slave to social media if that's not your thing. It's just about being very clear on what can you sustain consistently for long enough for it to work. So you might want to think about a podcast. It might be newsletter. It might be social media. It might be speaking on stages. It might be SEO. Maybe you're really great at SEO. You're really good at getting traffic to your website. Maybe it's collaborative partnerships, right? The platform matters so much less than the clarity and the consistency of what you're putting onto that platform, right? So when your marketing is feeling exhausting and you feel like it's not working and you're just sick of it, you're just over it, it's actually almost never a marketing problem. It's usually a sign that you need to look further upstream. You need to be looking at layers 4, 3, 2, and 1. And when those 4 layers are really solid, then the 5th layer, the marketing, actually becomes so much more straightforward. It becomes the kind of content to create becomes so obvious if those other layers are solid. The right strategy for you becomes so obvious. You know what you're saying. You know who you're saying it to. You know why it matters. You know what you want them to do next. You know how you help them. And that kind of clarity is what makes marketing feel like a real, true expression of your work, rather than this crazy performance that you have to maintain to please an algorithm. Layer 6. So once you have got to a place where your marketing feels good, it feels authentic, you don't hate doing it, you enjoy doing it because it feels so natural. Once you get to that place, then and only then do you look at layer 6, which is sales. the conversations that convert interested people into making a commitment to work with you. And sales, those conversations can only do their job if the layers before it have done theirs. So in other words, if someone arrives at an alignment call with you, or a discovery call, or whatever you want to call it, and they are already trusting you, they already believe that your offer is right for them, they already feel like you understand their world, then that conversation is just a simple final invitation. It's so natural. It's so human. Doesn't feel like selling whatsoever. It's two people coming together who already know that they're on the same wavelength, that it's a natural next step for them to work with you. Whereas when sales feel hard, if you're someone who's saying, oh my gosh, I just can never convert, I can never close a sale, when there's that resistance, when people are ghosting you, when you're trying to convince people to work with you rather than simply inviting them to take the next step, then your instinct can often be to, I've got to get better at selling. And honestly, yeah, sometimes you do need to develop that skill of having these open, natural conversations. But often the friction around sales is really a symptom of something that, again, is upstream from there. It's a symptom of something earlier in that chain not being solid enough. So whatever your sales process is, whether it's a call with someone, whether it's an application form, a page, sales page, you need to be clear and honest, and you need to design it to help the right people say yes. Not everyone, not to persuade everyone to work with you. You are not right for everyone, but it needs to give people the information they need to know they need you. That's your goal. Your goal is to create a really clear, graceful path for the people who are genuinely ready to work with you, for the people who the time is right for them. We don't want to be convincing people to say yes at the wrong time. We don't want to be convincing people to part with money that they don't have. That is not good energy for any business. So that's your sixth layer. And then finally, the seventh layer is the one that kind of makes everything else sustainable. It's client delivery. So this is what happens after someone says yes. This is the experience you create. It's the results you generate with people, the transformation you actually deliver when someone works with you. And I'm including this as a layer in this natural order of things framework for two reasons. One, because honestly, exceptional client delivery, exceptional service is just the foundation of your reputation. It's the only thing that is going to bring you referrals, that's going to have clients come back to you time and time again. It's going to be the thing that takes a 3-month engagement client and turns them into a retainer client that stays with you for years sometimes, right? And all of those things, they actually become your most powerful marketing assets anyway over time. Your testimonials, your referrals, those are all amazing marketing assets. Word of mouth from clients who have genuinely been transformed by working with you is honestly worth more than any amount you could spend on paid ads or any kind of organic content strategy. Testimonials, word of mouth, those are your best marketing assets anyway. The second reason, though, that this has its place in the framework is that if your delivery consistently falls short of what you've promised, eventually it's going to undermine every other layer. Your confidence is going to erode. Your testimonials are not going to be hot. They're going to be tepid at best. Your energy for having enrollment conversations, sales conversations, is just going to drop like a stone because a part of you isn't going to be standing behind what you're selling. So client delivery isn't like the end of the process. It's not the end of the chain. It's the thing that feeds back into all of those other previous layers. It's the thing that strengthens you as the business owner to have that conviction and that grit. So those are your 7 layers of the natural order of things. And like I say, we are going to, over the next 7 episodes, we're going to look at each one in detail. But if you want to just kind of start thinking about this process now, just start with each layer and ask yourself honestly, is this where I want it to be? I'm not talking about, is this perfect? Nothing's ever perfect, but is this solid? Is this layer genuinely working? And if the answer is yes, move on to the layer 2. And keep going until you find the layer where the honest answer is not quite. It's not there. That's where your energy belongs first. And it's not always going to be where you expect it to be. And it's almost never the layer that you've been pouring your energy into. So that's why I'm excited to share this framework with you, because I feel like this is so fundamental. It's not about doing everything super slowly. It's not, I don't want you to think of this and end up getting stuck in endless preparation. It's not about constantly getting ready to get ready, but it is about doing the right things at the right time so that your energy actually compounds over time instead of leaking out. Because I know that a business that's built in the right order, or that's audited in the right order, the most established businesses can use this framework. Everyone should be using this framework. This is a perfect framework to use when you're doing end of year planning, for example. In fact, this is the process that I use for end of year planning. And this is what is going to create something that's genuinely sustainable for you. Okay? So I'm excited to start going through these in depth. So next week, we're going to be going deep into your vision and your mindset. And that's where we're going to bring you some journaling questions with each episode. And you're really going to start getting a real sense of what it feels and looks like when a layer is truly solid versus when it just maybe looks okay-ish. And again, we're not looking for perfection, but we want solid. We want, that's where I need it to be. Okay. If this episode has landed for you, I wonder if you might share it with someone else, another woman in business who you think needs this framework to refer to right now. Because, like I say, over the next couple of months, we're going deep into this. We're going to really start looking from a very logical, sequential process at how to make your soul-led, impact-driven business work even better. I'm excited for this. Okay, until next time, bye for now.